Hello everybody and welcome back to the Japan Herping travel vlog. The start of this episode contains a lot of traveling as we spent most of the day making our way from the greater Tokyo area to where we would be spending the next couple of days of the trip. This involved getting on multiple trains, including our first Shinkansen, which was a really cool experience. These trains go incredibly fast, and we don't really have anything like this in the US, so it was a completely new experience for me, and a fantastic way to travel across the country quickly and efficiently. Getting to our final destination wasn't quite that simple though, as we had to take a total of, I think, 5 trains for a total travel time of between 7 and 8 hours to get to where we were going. But our next destination was definitely the most exciting of the trip, and the region we would be visiting is home to one of the coolest animals in the whole world. Alright, we made it to Yonago, where we're going to be spending the next few days, and we're actually going to rent a car, so we're going to get our first taste of driving in Japan. Oh, there she is. That's our rental. Alright, well, this guy's driven in Asia before, so he's going to start us off, and then maybe I'll take the wheel a little bit later. We haven't even spent any time on the road. I mean, we've been in like one bus so far, so we'll see. All right, we are officially morning cruising in Japan. We're going up a windy mountain road. So far, this road is pretty scenic, and looks a lot like the stuff we've been walking so far this trip. But haven't seen a live snake yet. We did see, oh, that's bright. We did see a dead Japanese keelback, which is a new species for us, but it was quite flat. And there's a bird in the road right there. Well, that's a new frog. He's got a nice green stripe. I have no clue what this is. So this guy is a black spotted frog. Kind of weird to see a frog hopping across the road in the mid-morning sun, but a new species for us and pretty cool looking. This Japanese lady is helping us look for a MAMUSHI. But there's all these little tiny frogs jumping around here too. All right, well, our morning cruising has been slightly productive. We saw a DOR Japanese keelback and some frogs, but we're gonna do a little bit of a walk and just watch this culvert and see if there's any snakes in it, and then probably call it a morning and come back to this road tonight because I'm definitely more confident that we could see some stuff after dark. Well, I just spotted this little guy in the ditch. This is a little, pull him back out. This is a little juvenile Tiger Keelback. Beautiful little guy. And once again, these guys are considered dangerously venomous, although very uninclined to bite. I would not recommend touching them or getting anywhere near them. But that is a beautiful little snake. That orange on the back and the yellow ring around the neck is just so stunning. Just excited we found a snake though. Had we not decided to walk this culvert, we probably would have gotten completely skunked this morning. So I was actually just wondering if we were here a little too early for baby snakes. It seems like a lot of the egg-laying snakes have not hatched, but I think these guys are live bearers, which could explain why we have found what appears to be a newborn. About the same size as a newborn garter snake. Such a cute little snake though, with that giant eyeball and that beautiful orange and yellow coloration. Second Tiger Keelback of the trip. We'll get some photos and put this guy back. Actually, we'll probably take him out of the ditch. I don't know if he was stuck in there. Here is this little guy next to a 50 yen coin for scale. Coiled up, he's just a little bit bigger. Maybe the size of a 500 yen coin. But very, very cool if we're only going to see one snake this morning. We'll let this guy go. Reed's taking some quick photos. And then we're going to probably head back and get lunch. We'll walk the rest of this road that we're on right now. And then maybe call it a morning. So I believe these guys are wrinkled frogs. I think this is what we were seeing the smaller version of earlier. I was wrong. This is actually a rice paddy frog of the genus Vegetaria. And these guys ended up being super common around the rice paddies, unsurprisingly. This one actually was at the top of the mountain in the little drainage ditch right here, but we did see a lot of these guys around the rice paddies too over the course of the next couple of days of the trip. Look at this big unit. He was trapped in the little ditch that we found the keelback in. He's large, thick, and pink. Fascinating. All right, Pink Boy is once again in the vegetation. We'll continue on. Look what we cruised on our way back. A huge adult Tiger Keelback. This one definitely looks a little more inclined to be grumpy. We're gonna be very careful with this one. Awesome. This one's not nearly as colorful, but his head is vibrant. So we're just kind of like on this little cut-through street between some houses. And we saw this guy fly across the road very quickly. And we were able to finally track him down and get a look at him. But that is very cool. We were actually on the way back to the hotel for the day when we spotted that. So nice to get another snake in this morning. So this guy was literally crossing like right here. We saw him right there go into that bush, and then we tracked him down. But we're gonna actually move him over to the rice paddies so he's not right by these houses. The lady we talked to earlier didn't seem too fond of snakes, so we're gonna go this way a little bit. We'll photograph him and let him go in better habitat where he's not gonna get killed, hopefully. So what this guy's doing here with his neck is, I think he's flexing the poison gland that these guys actually have in their neck region. And if I were to try to bite him, if I was actually a predator rather than a well-meaning onlooker, I would get a mouthful of poison, and then he is also capable of inflicting a deadly venomous bite. This guy is definitely the grumpiest of the Tiger Keelbacks we've seen so far, and he is definitely willing to bite. So we're going to let this guy go now that we've moved him a little bit away from those houses, and might end up being the last snake of the morning, but very cool species, and excited to see 2 more this morning. All right, buddy, stay away from the farms. Kind of poking around this rock pile. There you go. Go that way. Towards the creek. Well, we're back at the rental car place, and it's because I drove our rental car into a pole this morning. So after our rental car fiasco, we went and grabbed lunch, and we're back in the hotel now because it's raining, and we're going to pick up a replacement rental car. I ended up driving the Prius into a power pole that was way out in the road. I would say the pole was a solid 75 to 100% further into the road than any pole you would ever encounter in America. So it caught me off guard. Definitely my fault though, and a huge bummer. I feel bad about it, but we were able to cover the cost of the replacement rental car, and insurance covered the damage. So hiccups like this happen when you're experiencing new places. So we're going to try to keep our chins up and get back to it after it stops raining, potentially tonight after dark. So we're going to wait this rain out, go get our car, and go back to cruising again. I broke the last one, so this time they gave me a tank. Honestly, I like this better. The first car was a Prius, but this is a tank. I mean, look at this thing. It kind of reminds me of a Honda Element, but different and smaller and kind of goofy looking. But hey, I'm just glad we got another rental car and can night cruise tonight.
Yeah, automated doors.
Nice. For our passengers we don't have. All right, guys. Time to take the tank for a spin, and this time we're going to try our best not to drive into any inanimate objects. As soon as we left town, we found this guy. This is a Chinese pond turtle, Maramese reeves eye. I was hoping this guy would come out of his shell for us a little bit more, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Just like most turtles we find back home, they like to keep their heads hidden. But we saw him pretty well, and as you can see, those ridges on his shell are one of his more unique features anyways. Not a super colorful turtle, but very cool. Very different from anything I've ever seen. I'm honestly shocked that my first turtle in Asia was not a red-eared slider, because they are invasive here. They're one of the more invasive turtles in the world, quite common almost anywhere that you can find bodies of water close to people. But yeah, we'll make sure this little guy gets off into the rice paddy over here, far away from the road. All right, here's the road we're gonna try to cruise tonight. Gets a little bit of traffic, but it's fairly wide by Japan road standards. Lots of nice pull-offs like this. And rice paddies and mountains and forest on both sides. So we're going to see what we can get into. Hopefully snakes will be crossing the road tonight. Really hoping to finally see a MAMUSHI, the Japanese pit viper. So we'll see. It's our first Japanese keelback. Our first snake of the night is a lifer. Awesome. Look at this guy. These guys are a different species of keelback, a harmless species that is reportedly more common, but this is the first one we've seen alive, so we're going to get some photos of this guy. So this is one of the species that we have yet to see alive on this trip so far, the Japanese keelback. Very cool. These are supposedly one of the more common snakes here in Japan, but as you can see, this is our first one. We did see a DOR this morning on a different road though, so definitely encouraging to actually night cruise our first snake on the road in the car. The road has not been particularly kind to us this trip so far, so it's nice to get a live one. Love that combination of kind of a rusty orange color and also somehow green.
Yeah,
It's very odd and unique.
And very hard to capture.
They remind me a lot of the pine wood snakes we had back in the States, but keeled scales instead. And I assume they fill a pretty similar niche, eating worms and such. But I believe this is a fairly large Japanese keelback. They're a pretty small species, so I'm assuming we'll see more before the end of the trip, but if not, it was nice to get our lifer. We'll photograph this guy and keep moving. Oh my god! Oh my god! Reed just spotted a mamushi. Look at this wrinkled frog. Look at the wrinkled frog just hanging out with the mamushi. Holy crap, that is our first Asian pit viper. I thought that was going to be a tiger keelback when I got out for some reason. So that is one of the biggest targets for this whole trip. The only pit viper on mainland Japan, on Honshu. It looks to be in shed, honestly. I can't believe this thing is crossing the road if it's in shed. It's got some blue tints in its eye. I don't know if it's in shed or if it's just weird looking or what, but my first Asian pit viper. I couldn't be more stoked. And props to Reed for spotting this thing. So this is a very grumpy mamushi. Understandably, because we're messing with him, but you'll notice he's doing the tail rattle, like a lot of the snakes we've seen here. Almost every species we've found has done that. It definitely looks like his eye is a little bit blue.
It does.
It's weird that he would be crossing the road in shed, but I guess it happens. It's so humid out and so muggy still. And we hadn't seen anything in like a couple of hours since we found that keelback, but apparently snakes are still moving, and we got probably our second biggest snake target for the mainland, or my second biggest snake target. Number one is the forest rat snake, which it's starting to look like we might not find. I would be really bummed if we have to go home without seeing one, but we still have quite a bit of time to try, so we're gonna photograph this guy and get him out of the road. All right, he is coiled up pretty nicely here. So here's one more look at him before we move him off the road, and then I'll get some video of him slithering into the grass. But our first Asian viper, and a beautiful little snake nonetheless, even if he's in shed. They can be quite a bit prettier when they're freshly shed, I'm assuming, but I'm just happy we found one. It was starting to get frustrating how many days we'd gone without finding these guys, but I think with any other snake, there's certain places where they're way more common than others. And we just happen to be in one of those places today where they're quite common, I think, so. All right, he is relaxed and is coiled up in the grass here on the side of the road. This guy is actually coming right out of a rice paddy area and heading straight to where one of the locals was maintaining a fence row right before dark. So these snakes actually do end up biting quite a few people just because they do have a tendency to hang out in the rice paddies where there's a lot of frogs and a lot of food. And they do end up killing quite a few people each year, reportedly up to about 10. I don't know if that's more so because they have a super potent venom. I know their venom is nothing to scoff at, but they do tend to inhabit really rural areas without as easy of access to treatment. They look superficially a lot like a copperhead, but their venom is definitely much worse. They kind of remind me of a combination of a copperhead and a cottonmouth at the same time, but lives in Asia, which is really cool. It's really cool to me how many things here in Japan remind me so much of just like an off version of the things we find back home. That's part of why I find this area so fascinating and why I wanted to come here. Huge target off the list tonight. I always would like to see more of these guys. They are quite variable. You can see different variations of this same color scheme. Some are brighter, some are more colorful and more contrasting than others. And I would like to see as many different ones as we can find. So we're gonna leave this guy right here and keep moving, and hopefully we'll see another one. If not tonight, maybe later in the trip. But there we have the Japanese pit viper, or the mamushi. All right. Out of the road, or he's out of the road, but away from the road, back out into the, oh, look, it's a mamushi belly. I wasn't expecting to see one of those in such a nice way. Look at that. Reed's gonna snap a quick picture while he's being an upside down boy. Go on. Stay out of the road. This is the mamushi stick, by the way. We've had many different variations of mamushi stick this trip, but
this one's our lucky one.
yeah, this is the one that actually turned into a mamushi stick. Go on, yes, that way. There you go. We had to celebrate our mamushi with some Japanese McDonald's. We got something called a Samurai Mac. Well, everyone, today was definitely an adventure. We started off the day with one rental car, ended the day with a different rental car, and found 3 lifers, at least. No, we found more than that, including frogs. So I think we found a total of 5 lifers today, including 2 new snakes, and our first turtle and viper in Japan. Really, really great day. One of the best days of the trip so far, despite the hardships we endured because of my inability to control the motor vehicle. But it happens, you know. These are the things that you take the good with the bad on trips like this. So I'm hoping we've still got some really good stuff ahead of us. So I'm going to get some sleep, and we're going to get up in the morning and do it again tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next installment of the Japan Herping vlog.